People deluded, I'm back again. Now, obviously, everyone and their nan from an Arsenal perspective has an opinion on Ramsdale, whether he's good or bad or whatever. Fundamentally, unless you're, for whatever reason, was watching him at Bournemouth week in, week out, was watching him on his loans at, I believe, Chesterfield and Wimbledon, or you was watching him week in, week out at Sheffield United, you don't really have an informed opinion. In fact, that's not necessarily true. We can make up an opinion, but when you're as you lot know, when you're watching a player week in, week out, and they play for your club, you see them in a different light. You see things that might not be picked up on. Now, shout out to my guys Hal and Nick of the Sheffield United Way. Obviously, they're Sheffield United fans. They have a Sheffield United channel. Make sure you go and give them some subscribers. You support them. You know, you do what you can because they know their stuff. Long story short, I'm gonna get you shortly after this. You're gonna see them both offering their opinions on Ramsdale and informing us. Like I said, it's a selfish video because I made it, or I asked them to do it, just so I can delve into their minds and say, what is Ramsdale good at? What's he bad at? What should I look out for? So I'll leave you lot to draw your own conclusions, but it's better you hear from the horse's mouth. Like I said, Hal, Nick, thank you very much. Sheffield United Way, the Sheffield United Way. Give them some follows and go and take in what they're saying. They've got good content and they do little things as well where they get other Sheffield United fans that might not be necessarily YouTubers. And I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I even heard someone with an American accent. So it's diverse content and they know football. Anyone that loves football, if you're on my channel, it doesn't matter what team you support. You love football at the purest level. So go and take them in. But enough from me. Let the camera start rolling and hear what they've got to say about Ramsdale, and we can all be updated.
Hi, I'm Hal from the Sheffield United Way. Good to talk about Aaron Ramsdale, former Sheffield United goalkeeper. I mean, at the time I'm recording this, it hasn't actually officially dotted line been concluded, but it will be. Worst kept secret in football. Aaron Ramsdale is a good goalkeeper. I know on social media you might see a lot of Arsenal fans criticising this as a signing that's not suitable for Arsenal. Well, I think he is actually good enough. It's whether he gets an opportunity, of course, which will be the big question. He is a very good shot stopper. Shots that are fired at him from close range, he's got incredible reaction time and speed. You can have a look at some highlights and see, particularly Newcastle away last season, you'll see some really good examples of him at his best. Weaknesses, he's got a mistake in him. But then, Dean Henderson, our former goalkeeper on loan from Manchester United, he had errors in him. And still a great keeper. I think they're actually on pretty much level par in terms of ability. I would say that there's a high ceiling for Aaron Ramsdale, potential-wise. He's already involved in the England setup. I'm sure there'll be add-ons with a transfer fee for if he makes an appearance for England, and I expect him to make an appearance for England. That'll largely be dependent on if he gets first-team football at Arsenal. He's not great at kicking the ball out. So he's not someone that was necessarily bought as a sweeper keeper, as the modern term is. He's sort of better with his hands, and he's brilliant with his hands. And we've already seen the one game without him, just how important he is at the back, how vocal he is, how commanding he is of his area, how he comes out and claims corners. But I wouldn't say that you want him doing any Manuel Neuer kind of trickery with his feet. I think Arsenal haven't overpaid because of how much Sheffield United paid. We overpaid buying him back, because let's remember Aaron Ramsdale is a Sheffield United youth player that was sold for peanuts to Bournemouth, and as is the Blades' way, then bought back for an extravagant fee. If we were going to try and get our money back for what we paid for him, then all the wages we paid for him, the signing on fee that we've paid for him, the win bonuses, although to be fair, they won't be many. No, it's not overpaid. We wanted 40 million, and in the end, because Aaron forced a move, really, he wanted out once he heard Arsenal were interested, his head was turned. We've had to kind of settle. So no, and overall the deal just stinks for us. We want to keep him. We love him. We appreciate him. He's a Blade. We're Blades. I mean, he's actually a West Brom fan, but it doesn't matter. And we support him when he's had bad times. I'm not sure Arsenal fans are going to do that. And also it leaves us up a gum tree because we've now got to sign a keeper days before the transfer window closes. So no, it's a terrible deal, and we're all really disappointed about it. Once Arsenal were interested, I think all Sheffield United fans knew it was going to happen. We don't keep hold of our players. I would say that long term, it could end up being a bad deal for us, a good deal for Arsenal. And in a way, I think he's used to having a poor defence in front of him. Bournemouth and Sheffield United are examples of that. Now, Sheffield United's defence was very good in our season where we finished 9th in the Premier League, but then it all just fell apart. And that's not Aaron Ramsdale's fault. There were other mitigating circumstances like injuries to key players like John Egan and Jack O'Connell. Arsenal's defence is better than that, and he'll get more practice than perhaps he would have done in Arsenal teams of old. But he'll do fine, I think. I think overall, my thoughts on him, I like him. I think he's a really good keeper. I'm privileged to have seen a lot of good keepers. Sheffield United have had good keepers, and he's right up there. He's one of them. He's one we kind of take into our hearts. The way he's left is messy, and I don't think if he came back he'd get a round of applause now, because the rumours are he said he wanted to go. Well, anyone who wants to leave our football club, as with Arsenal, if anyone wants to leave Arsenal, you don't tend to hold them in high regard. But in terms of what he did on the pitch, we'll always be grateful. Good keeper, nice guy. One story I'll quickly tell you is he bought the old digs that he stayed at when he was a youth player at Sheffield United. He's bought that and he's renting it out to young players at Sheffield United now at a greatly reduced rate. I mean, good guy.
So Aaron Ramsdale's strengths for me are definitely shot stopping. He's probably one of the best shot stoppers I've ever seen at Bramall Lane. The end of last season, he was absolutely incredible. Everything that came at him that was anywhere close to him, he was stopping it. However quick it came at him, he's got great reactions. His negatives, his weaknesses, I would say, are definitely coming out to claim crosses. If there's some big kind of 6'3", 6'4" strikers or defenders coming up for corners in front of him, he struggles to kind of grab that ball or flaps at it. His decision making from corners and kind of long throw-ins isn't the best sometimes. Sometimes he'll choose to come out and he'll completely miss it. Sometimes he'll choose to punch it and miss it. Sometimes he'll stay on his line when he needs to come out. So, like I said, he's only young. He'll definitely be getting better. You're signing potential. You're definitely not signing the finished article. So, for you guys, I don't think that he will I don't think he'll come straight into the team. I think you'll have Leno for quite a bit more. I think that kind of a Carabao Cup sort of keeper just for this season, maybe move into being your number one next season. I'm going to move past what is his best and worst quality because I think that's similar to strengths and weaknesses. So I'll move on to the next one. How high is his ceiling potential? I think I'm going to be saying very, very similar things in this video. I'm going to be repeating myself quite a bit because he's got very prominent weaknesses and strengths. I'll try and go through everything as much as possible. But for me, his ceiling is the sky, really, because he's already got down exactly what you need as a goalkeeper. The best thing that you need, the thing that a goalkeeper needs to be is a good shot stopper. And he's got that in abundance. He proved that at the back end of last season. Now, he's definitely a confidence goalkeeper because at the beginning of last season, it was behind a defence that were very shaky. The season before, the defence in front of Dean Henderson were the same three centre-backs all the way through the season. And then for Aaron Ramsdale last season in the Premier League, he must have played behind about 7, 8, maybe 10 different combinations of a back three or back five, as you like, with the wing backs. And really that, I think, caused him to lose a lot of confidence in his defence. And then that kind of made him lose a lot of confidence in himself as well, because he was facing a lot of shots and he were letting some in, and he wasn't like his shot stop at the start of the season was okay, but it wasn't anywhere near what it was at the end of the season. And really, the back end of the season, that's where he's right now. So he's massively full of confidence. He was at the end of this, even at the end of the season, he was coming out and taking some crosses. Fair enough, he still flaps at a couple, but he's definitely a confidence-based player. And I think if he can get that kind of his long kicking sorted, because that's definitely a weakness that he's got for me. I think he's okay at playing out from the back. But yeah, he's coming out for crosses and decision making for me that needs to get better. And if that can get better, yeah, the sky's the limit for him. Now, when it comes to playing out from the back, it's quite a difficult question to answer because under Chris Wilder, we didn't play out from the back, really. We might have played out from the back defensive wise. So like the ball would come back to the centre back and then he'd recycle it out to the wings. But it rarely went back to Aaron Ramsdale or Dean Henderson for that matter the season before and the season before. So like Chris Wilder's sides don't like to play out from the back because for me, you kind of if you're not good footballers from the back, then what's the point? You're going to end up causing yourselves more problems with making mistakes and with, especially with strikers bearing down on you. But I will say that Jokanovic at the start of this season and obviously pre-season as well, he was playing out from the back. So I did see Ramsdale play out a few games from the back, and he looked absolutely fine. I remember Doncaster Rovers in pre-season. Constantly the ball was coming back to him and he had strikers bearing down on him, and then he was cool as a cucumber, taking it out wide, playing it out. So don't get me wrong, I've barely seen him play out from the back because we just didn't do it. But the games that I had seen him play out from the back, he's not bad with his feet at all. Last season, I don't think he made any mistakes when it comes to the ball coming back to him and I don't know, passing it to a striker or getting caught on the ball. He was very assured, but his long kicking just needs to improve. The thing with Ramsdale when it comes to being vocal, like I said, he's a confidence-based player. So when he's confident, he is vocal. He's saying, do this, do that. You can hear him shouting and screaming. But at the start of the season, last season, and this is really all we've got to go on because he's only played for us really for one season all the way through. And at the start of the season, when he was low in confidence, he wasn't shouting. We weren't hearing him. The only times he was shouting were when he was having a go at the defence for making a mistake. So it was very kind of reactionary rather than like being proactive. So towards the end of the season, like I said, he was do this, do that, do this, do that. And then he was still shouting and screaming at the defenders when they were making mistakes and stuff. And he's also one of them goalkeepers that'll pull off a great save and then kind of celebrate it, if you like, or like shout out or scream out like, you're not getting past me. So I did like that about him towards the end of the season. But like I say, very, very much a confidence-based player. What did I make of the deal? It's tough to say, really, because we paid around 18 million for him, something like that. We had him originally. We sold him to Bournemouth in the first place. So I think we had a couple of millions knocked off of his price tag. So maybe it wasn't quite 18 million because of the kind of sell-on clause and stuff because we bought him back. But we obviously sold him for 24, which if we're just talking about not getting into the nitty-gritty of the deal, that looks like it's 6 million profit. I know we've been paying his wages, so we've obviously paid out a lot more than that. But I think it's okay. I feel like we wanted more money for him, and I think that's probably our own fault, the fact that we paid so much money for him, because I thought a Bournemouth goalkeeper getting relegated, had an okay season for Bournemouth, letting a lot of goals. I thought we would have been able to get him for definitely no more than 15 million. I didn't really want to pay more than 10 million for him in the first place. And honestly, right now, I don't think he's worth over 20 million. He had a really, really good end to the season. He had obviously got into the England squad because of a couple of injuries to Pope and Henderson. And really, I think that's what's bumped his price up. And really, if we'd have said at the start of the season that we were going to get 24 million for him, I'd have absolutely snapped whoever's hand off. So in the terms of the price, I think it's okay. I think we would have liked to have got more. And don't get me wrong, with add-ons, it looks like it could be up to 30 million, but I don't know what the stipulations are of us getting that extra 6 million. But when it comes to like footballing reasons, obviously it's not good because we've lost our number one goalkeeper and we've got a few other goalkeepers that aren't very good. So really, it's a bad deal for us, especially when we've only got the parachute payment for like 3 seasons, the first season where you get the bulk of the money. And really, we need to get back up into the Premier League. So losing your number one goalkeeper really early on in the season is a travesty. Really, and if we can't replace him, then we are going to be gutted. But for you guys, you've got a good young goalkeeper with a lot of potential. Like I say, the sky's the limit for him. It's just whether he gets that coaching and gets that confidence that he needs to kind of propel himself up the Premier League table with you guys. When I found out that Arsenal were interested in Ramsdale, I was very shocked. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't watch Arsenal every week, but I didn't think Leno was a bad goalkeeper, and I certainly think that right now Aaron Ramsdale is not as good a goalkeeper as Bernd Leno is. I also felt that it was probably a club that was kind of towards the bottom end of the Premier League, that if we were going to sell him to anyone, maybe if kind of Burnley let Nick Pope go or somebody came in for Nick Pope and then Burnley signed Ramsdale, or someone who's gone up into the Premier League might have signed him. But in all honesty, I thought we were going to keep Ramsdale this season because of how bad he was at the start of last season. So I think I was shocked, But at the same time, he has got a lot of potential. If he comes in and gets that confidence straight away, has a few good games, then his price will just rise. His stock will just shoot up. Absolutely. Because he's an English goalkeeper at the start, and English goalkeepers are there's not too many in the Premier League, to be honest. And when you're looking at Aaron Ramsdale probably being the fifth best goalkeeper England's got to offer, and he got relegated last season, it really does show you that there's not too many English goalkeepers around. And really, like I say, if he does start the season well, then his price will go up massively. I hate to say this, but I absolutely think he's got a mistake in him, because Aaron Ramsdale made so many mistakes at the start of last season. Like I said, like I keep saying, from crosses, coming for balls, he's really poor at it. It's not even a question. If you watch some of his, well, not highlights, because on the highlight reel, all you see is the amazing saves, because he did make some incredible saves last season. But yeah, he did come out, he did flap. We conceded a lot of goals because of him. Like I said, sometimes there was one against Chelsea last season when the ball came across, Chilwell was stood about 2 yards out and just tapped it in at the back post. Things like that, where he's like thinking whether I should come or not, and then decides not to. It's that decision making that he needs to get right, and he needs to be confident when he comes out and catches or punches. Because, like I said, you need a goalkeeper that understands when to catch and when to punch, and I think he's still got to learn that. But not just that, his shot stopping is incredible, don't get me wrong, but there were a few last season that kind of didn't quite go into the corners, and he got nowhere near them. So maybe it's his positioning that isn't quite perfect. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a goalkeeping coach at all, but sometimes a ball didn't go into the corner and he didn't get there, and I'm like, why didn't he get there? So, yeah, he's definitely got a mistake in him. Maybe it's his positioning that sometimes lets him down too. Do I think that Aaron Ramsdale will be set up for a fail playing behind Arsenal's defence? It's a tough one, really, because I've not watched Arsenal too much, so I don't know a hell of a lot about. I looked at some of your defenders. Obviously, there's Holding, there's Ben White, there's Gabriel as well. I don't watch it week in, week out. And I know Ben White's a good defender, but is he a leader? I'm not sure. Gabriel played very, very well against us. I really like him. But there doesn't seem to be, like I just said, too many leaders. Like if he was playing behind sort of Tony Adams and Steve Bold, or Toure and Campbell, then maybe you would think, oh, he's not going to face too many shots. And the shots that he will face, he'll be able to manage no problem, because he is a good shot stopper. Like with us, he had a lot of shots to save, obviously, because the defence was leaking chances week in, week out. So he had one more of a chance to shine, or more of a chance to make mistakes. So obviously, with Arsenal's defence not being quite what it used to be, maybe he's going to have a lot of shots to save, and maybe that's not the best thing for him. But yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see. And finally, my overall thoughts about Aaron Ramsdale. I'm going to be going over the same ground, really, because I feel like he has the potential to be a top-end goalkeeper. Will he ever reach the heights of kind of Dean Henderson and Jordan Pickford and Nick Pope, players like that? It's yet to be seen. But you're buying potential. I think he's only 23 still. So you are definitely buying potential. Goalkeepers obviously come into the prime between kind of late 20s, early 30s. So he's got a long way to go. He's got a lot of things to learn. If he doesn't start very well, maybe it might be a good idea to send him out on loan to a championship club. Because I really feel like after that season he had last season and the season before, 2 relegations in 2 seasons, he needed a full season in the championship where he was number 1, best goalkeeper in the league. But he's not got that. And it would have been nice to have seen him do that for himself, not because I'm bitter. I'm not really that bothered that he's gone. I think he was a great goalkeeper, but at the same time, I do feel like we need a kind of roundabout 30-year-old goalkeeper who's been there and done that. So yeah, like I say, I think he needed that time as being number 1 for a full season, winning games week in, week out. I'm not saying that was going to be with us, but we've got more chance of winning games in the Championship than in the Premier League. So maybe he's going to be the Carabao Cup goalkeeper for a little bit until he kind of finds his feet, and then he eventually becomes number 1. But We'll have to see. Like I say, it's a tough one to really call because I've watched him all season and I do think he had his good points, he had his bad points, but we'll have to wait and see how his career progresses and how he matures.